My name is Brenna Morrison, and I'm 36 years old. The message arrived at 11:43 a.m. on a Tuesday while I was annotating quarterly reports, numbers lining up like well-trained soldiers, the kind of order that makes the world feel breathable. Luca. Brenna, we need to talk. Actually, I'll just say it. I'm bored. You're nice, but predictable. Same restaurants, same routine, same everything. I need someone who can keep up with my lifestyle. We're done. That word, done, landed like a stamp on the back of my neck. No phone call, no meeting, not even punctuation that cared enough to be elegant. I watched the bubble fade, then typed the most honest sentence I had. Me, I understand. He replied instantly, as if he'd been waiting behind a door he expected me to rattle. Luca. That's it? That's all you have to say? Me. Yes. Luca. Wow. Shows how much you cared. Don't contact me again. He didn't know that care can look like documentation. He didn't know that love, when you strip it down to the ledger, still has columns. What was given, what was taken, and what you're allowed to stop. 8 months earlier, when Luca's consultancy stopped consulting and his brand deals thinned from champagne to seltzer, he'd cried in my kitchen about image, about algorithms, about the cost of appearing successful long enough to become it. I added him as an authorized user on my business credit line, the one tied to my firm's expenses, with strict parameters, emergencies only while he rebuilt. He promised it would be a month or two max. Emergencies, it turned out, were generous definitions. $400 spa days to stay camera ready, designer bags for meetings, boutique sprees disguised as styling fees, a premium gym plus trainer because clients expect energy, dinners, where he grabbed the check for the table to look like a man who could. When I tallied it, I was covering about $8,000 a month of his lifestyle. My accountant brain tracked every penny. My hopeful heart rewrote every memo. He's investing in himself. It'll turn soon. He'll pay me back. At 12:15 p.m., exactly 32 minutes after being dumped for being boring, I logged into the portal. Remove authorized user. Luca Rossi. Effective immediately. A chat window popped. There are several pending charges. Decline as well? I typed. Every single one. It wasn't rage. It was relief wearing a business suit. The kind that doesn't shake when you sign. Wednesday morning, the text began. 10:23 a.m. My card got declined at SoulCycle. Fix it. 10:31 a.m. This isn't funny. I have a lunch at noon. 10:45 a.m. Are you seriously this petty? 11:02 a.m. The bank says I'm not authorized anymore. You can't do this. I toggled Do Not Disturb and returned to work. 3 client meetings, 2 tax amendments, 1 quiet sandwich at my desk. Predictable? Yes. Also, how rent gets paid. At 2:18 p.m., he tried performance. He showed up in my lobby, sunglasses on, indoors, voice pitched to carry. My assistant Monica had already heard the gist. Tuesday afternoon, I'd told her the relationship was over and access revoked. I need to speak to her, Luca announced. This is illegal. She can't just cut me off. Monica didn't even blink. Ms. Morrison is with a client. Would you like to book a consultation? Next opening is in 3 weeks. I'm her boyfriend. Monica checked the screen theatrically. According to our records, you're not listed as emergency contact or authorized visitor. Shall I pencil you in? Security escorted him out when the volume turned from aggrieved to operatic. He threw a final line over his shoulder. You're going to regret this. The soundtrack of men who think access is a birthright. That afternoon, a different voice called. Diana Rossi, his mother, who baked lemon bars the first time we met and told me Luca was a star looking for a sky. Brenna, sweetheart, she said, breathy and flustered. Luca is hysterical. He says you stole his cards. Hi, Diana. I removed him as an authorized user from my business line. The cards were never his. But he has bills to pay, his apartment, his car. Then he'll need a job that pays money instead of pretending to have it. Silence on the line, brittle and bright. That's cruel, Brenna. After everything he's done for you. What exactly has he done for me? I asked, voice even, beyond accruing points on my dime. She exhaled a mother's wounded sound. He elevated your social profile. He introduced you to important people. To other influencers who also can't pay their bills, I said gently. Diana, I wish him well, truly. His belongings will be in a box outside my apartment Saturday between 10 and 11 a.m. If he doesn't pick them up, they go to Goodwill. That's heartless. It's a boundary. I softened my tone. Please tell him not to come to my office again. When we hung up, I opened my accounting software out of habit. The neatness calmed me. Clean lines, reconciled statements, a month that balanced. I scrolled a private spreadsheet I'd titled Tuition. Not money for him, but the cost of the lesson for me. Every ignored red flag, every rationalization, every just this once. A ledger of the softest fraud. The lies we tell ourselves because they're kinder in the moment than the truth. By evening, the first tremor hit Instagram. Luca posted a quote card about toxic partners who weaponize money, tagged my business account directly. The comments rallied fast, a foam of heart emojis, and you deserve better, King. I didn't engage. The internet is a stage with no ushers. The audience can applaud a lie before the lights even come up. Instead, I emailed my clients, calm, precise, unafraid. If you see odd posts, please ignore. A former personal relationship ended and access tied to my EIN has been revoked. Your accounts remain secure and fully compliant. Mrs. Patterson, who owns a chain of bakeries and the sharpest nonsense detector I know, replied within minutes. Noted. Also, if he's calling a revoked business card abuse, tell him that's called fraud. See you Thursday. I smiled for the first time all day. At home, I folded Luca's scattered belongings into a single box. Clothes, a cologne that smelled like citrus and ambition, a vision board with magazine cutouts of yachts, and the word manifest written 3 times in gold Sharpie. I taped the lid, wrote Rossi across the top in block letters, and set it by the door. My phone buzzed one last time before I slept. Luca, you can't do this to me. Fix the card by tomorrow. I turned the phone face down and switched off the lamp. In the dark, the city hummed its neutral song. Predictable, maybe. Also, merciful. When morning came, it would be Wednesday. When Saturday came, it would be a box on a doormat and a clean line drawn. When I finally slept, my hands weren't fists anymore. They were open. Saturday morning arrived crisp and bright, the kind of weather that pretends everything's fine. I brewed coffee, set the cardboard box on the front steps, and double-checked the tape like it mattered. Inside, clothes that smelled faintly of cologne and entitlement, 2 unopened skincare kits, a stack of self-help books with the spines uncracked, and the vision board, Manifest Abundance, slashed through one corner where the glue had dried out. At 10:03 a.m., right on schedule, the entourage appeared. Luca in sunglasses, jaw tight. Jasmine, his perpetual hype friend, phone already recording. And a tall woman beside him, Antonia, apparently the new girlfriend. She looked half bored, half hungry for drama, wearing a watch meant to be noticed. This is Antonia, Luca announced, as if he were introducing a guest at a gala. She actually appreciates ambition. I smiled politely. Wonderful. Your things are in the box. Antonia crossed her arms. You should be ashamed, treating a man like this. Which part? I asked lightly. The part where I supported him for 8 months, or the part where I stopped when he dumped me via text? Jasmine gasped. She admits it. You made him dependent on you. That's abuse. Dependence was his hobby, I said, not my management strategy. Luca stepped forward, voice tightening. You owe me 3 months of severance. I blinked. Severance? Jasmine nodded fiercely. You disrupted his stability. He built his life around your support. That sounds, I said slowly, like his problem. Antonia tugged at Luca's sleeve. Come on, babe. Let's not stoop to her level. But Luca couldn't stop. I'll sue. You use me for content, for validation. Actually, I interrupted, you used my credit line for brunches. The court will find that fascinating. He turned scarlet. They grabbed the box and stormed off, designer shoes scuffing my concrete. When the echo of their outrage faded, I exhaled for what felt like the first time all week. By Monday, his next tactic hit the internet. A carefully curated Instagram carousel. Slide 1. A moody selfie captioned, Financial abuse is real. Slide 2. A long paragraph accusing me of controlling him through money. Slide 3. A blurry shot of a credit card, my company's logo cropped out but still visible. He tagged my business account in all of it. Within an hour, his followers swarmed the comments. You're too good for her. Brenna who? She can't handle a real man. Then came my favorite entry, from Mrs. Patterson, my sharp-tongued bakery client. Interesting take. So he financially abused you by revoking access to her own business account? That's called theft, sweetie. Within minutes, the post vanished. Tuesday morning, my assistant Monica slid her phone across my desk. "Thought you'd want to see this," she said. Luca's Yelp crusade. 1-star reviews on every platform he could find, claiming I mixed romance with clients. Each site required proof of service. None could verify him. All reviews disappeared within 48 hours. By Thursday, the pendulum swung back. Jasmine called, her tone brittle. "Look, this is awkward, but Luca's being evicted. He said you used to handle the rent?" "I was covering it while he built his business. He ended the relationship. That ended the arrangement." "But he can't just suddenly pay rent. Then he can suddenly get a job." Silence, then a click. Friday brought fresh theater. Antonia, it seemed, had fled. Luca had posted an Instagram story, since deleted, ranting about fake women who can't handle a man rebuilding his empire. In the background, you could see the box, from my porch, still half unpacked, the vision board propped against a wall. That night, I poured wine, lit a candle, and wrote a note on my tuition spreadsheet. Lesson 2. Entitlement doesn't vanish when you revoke access. It just goes looking for another credit line. Then I closed the laptop and turned on a documentary about coral reefs. Predictable, peaceful, mine. Somewhere out there, Luca was drafting his next move. I knew because people like him don't learn humility until the audience stops clapping. I'd already left the theater. By week 2, Luca went from humiliated to vengeful. I'd learned the pattern by then. When charm fails, chaos becomes the strategy. Monday morning began with a flurry of client emails, subject lines like urgent, strange message, or possible spam. One contained a forwarded note from Luca Rossi, PR consultant. "Dear valued client of Morrison & Comey Accounting, it has come to my attention that your accountant, Brenna Morrison, is under investigation for professional misconduct and misappropriation of funds. I recommend seeking alternative financial management immediately." He'd actually mass emailed my client list, the one he'd seen months ago when he helped organize receipts. A stupid oversight on my part, one I'll never repeat. But Luca's attempt backfired spectacularly. I'd already briefed everyone after his Instagram stunt. My clients knew the situation, and most had laughed it off. Mrs. Patterson, queen of quick wit, replied directly to him. "Investigation? Interesting. Because I just had coffee with her and signed another annual contract. You might want to check your facts before trying PR without a license." She CC'd me. I almost framed it. 2 days later, a new envelope arrived. Official letterhead, state crest in the corner. For half a second, my heart misfired. Inside, a complaint filed with the state accounting board, alleging I'd used financial access to control and emotionally manipulate a romantic partner. The investigator who called sounded weary before we began. "Ms. Morrison, we're required to ask a few questions." "Of course," I said, voice steady. "Would you like the full documentation or the summarized version?" A pause, then dryly. "Let's start with summary." I laid out everything. The text breakup, the authorization records, the timestamps of every charge, the removal log. He was a secondary user on a business credit line tied to my EIN, I concluded. He was never an owner. The investigator exhaled audibly. "So, he's upset because you stopped letting him spend your business funds after he broke up with you." "That's correct." "Excellent. We'll be closing this as unfounded. Have a good day, Ms. Morrison." When I hung up, I laughed so hard I cried. Relief often sounds like disbelief. But Luca wasn't finished. Thursday brought a new envelope. Thick, self-important, and smelling faintly of desperation. Letterhead. Theodore Benson, Escalation. I Googled him. His website featured a clip art gavel and the tagline, "Traffic tickets? I fight for you." The letter demanded 3 months of transitional support at $8,000 per month. Compensation for emotional distress, totaling $15,000. A written apology for financial manipulation. Restoration of credit card access. I took it straight to my actual lawyer, David Tran, who skimmed the first page, then wheezed with laughter. "Let me get this straight," he said, wiping his eyes. "He wants you to pay him for breaking up with you?" "That's the gist." David drafted a masterpiece of a reply. 4 paragraphs of legal precision wrapped in velvet sarcasm. He cited every relevant statute, explained the revocable nature of authorized user status, attached screenshots of Luca's own "We're done" text, and closed with, "Any further communication of this nature will be construed as harassment. Should your client pursue this frivolous claim, we will seek damages and attorney's fees." 2 days later, silence. Theodore Benson vanished back into the land of traffic tickets. Meanwhile, Luca's Instagram persona was collapsing in real time. His once glossy feed, designer labels, champagne toasts, motivational quotes, transformed into frantic posts. Real friends support you when you're down. Why is rent so expensive? Anyone know places hiring management positions? I don't do entry level. The likes plummeted. His followers dropped from 12,000 to 3,000 in 2 weeks. Turns out people don't follow a lifestyle they can't envy. Then came the pièce de résistance, a live-streamed car repossession. I didn't mean to watch it, but someone sent me the link with the message, "You're not ready for this." The video showed Luca standing in the street, filming himself, voice breaking. "They're taking my car because my ex sabotaged me financially. This is systemic oppression of ambitious people." Behind him, the repo agent calmly strapped the car to the tow truck. "Sir, you haven't made a payment in 3 months." Luca turned the camera, tears catching the light. "See how men get punished for having standards?" The agent blinked. "Sir, this has nothing to do with gender. It's numbers." The comments section was merciless. Even Jasmine didn't defend him. That evening, Diana called again. Her tone had shifted from righteous to resigned. "He's moving back home," she said quietly. "He's destroyed, Brenna." "I'm sorry to hear that," I replied. "Are you really?" "Yes, but I'm not sorry for protecting myself." A long silence. "You did this to him." "No, Diana, I stopped doing everything for him." She hung up without another word. I stared at my reflection in the office window that night. The city lights blurred like decimals in motion. This was the part no one writes about. The quiet after a storm where justice feels both heavy and hollow. I wasn't celebrating. I wasn't vindictive. I was simply done being a sponsor for someone else's fantasy. As I locked up, Monica called after me. "Going home, boss?" "Yeah." "Same restaurant as always?" she teased. I smiled. Of course, I like predictable food. The next morning, Luca's account went private. Predictability, it turns out, was all he'd ever needed, just not the kind he could monetize. 2 months later, I thought the story was over. It wasn't. It just got quieter. The world had moved on to new scandals, new breakups, new financial abuse threads on social media. But one afternoon, while meeting a new client at a downtown cafe, I saw him, Luca. No sunglasses this time, no designer bag, just jeans, a plain t-shirt, and a clipboard. He was sitting across from a man in a suit, answering questions, nodding too often. There was a pen in his hand, real ink, not the aesthetic kind for Instagram. He looked up and froze. For half a second, recognition flickered. Then shame. I nodded once, polite. He flushed, looked back at his interviewer, and fumbled the pen. I left without ordering a refill. An hour later, a text buzzed from an unknown number. "Hi, Brenna. It's Luca. I saw you today. I was interviewing for an entry-level marketing job at Coleman Tech. I know you probably don't believe me, but I wanted to say, I get it now. What you were trying to teach me about actually working for things. I didn't deserve your help, or the way I treated you. I'm sorry." I read it twice, then I archived it without responding. Some things don't need closure, they just need distance. That evening, Mrs. Patterson called. I assumed it was about taxes, but her voice was practically gleeful. "Brenna, you're not going to believe this. Guess who applied for a social media manager position at my main bakery?" I didn't even need to guess. "Let me try. Initials LR?" "Ding, ding," she said. His resume claims he managed high-value financial accounts and oversaw influencer partnerships. I Googled him, found the old posts about you, the ones where he admitted to using your credit line for business image maintenance. Yeah, we're not calling him back. I laughed, a sound that came from relief, not spite. Good decision. Also, she added dryly, if he tries to spin this as community outreach, I'm calling the board. A week later, I started seeing someone new. Ethan, a nurse I met through a mutual friend. He worked long shifts, laughed easily, and considered success something measured in hours of sleep and patient recovery rates, not engagement metrics. Our first Friday night together was takeout and an old movie. No filters, no hashtags, no audience. Halfway through, he turned to me and said, "You're really calm, like you don't need to prove anything." I used to think calm was boring, I said. "And now?" "Now I think boring might be the most peaceful thing on earth." He smiled. "I'll drink to that." We clinked our mismatched glasses. Predictable. Perfect. A month later, I received a Christmas card in the mail. The handwriting was neat, but shaky. "Dear Brenna, I wanted to apologize for what I said. You were right. He needed to learn. Thank you for showing him that actions have consequences. Warmly, Diana Rossi. I kept the card, threw away the note. Sometimes, on quiet evenings, I still scroll through my tuition spreadsheet, not to reopen old wounds, but to remind myself what I paid and what I earned. Each line tells a story. $400 spa days, lesson in boundaries. Designer bags, lesson in ego. Boutique dinners, lesson in appearances. Emotional bandwidth, lesson in self-respect. When you add it up, the balance isn't negative, it's freedom. People often assume revenge is loud, a public reckoning, a viral post. But real revenge, I've learned, is peace. Luca once told me I was too predictable. He was right. I still go to the same cafe every morning. Still file taxes by hand because I like the rhythm. Still wear neutral suits and practical heels. I'm boring, and I've never been freer,